On today's guide, sports results. We'll show you how to scan the daily newspapers and get to grips with reading soccer league tables. Buying a new TV. What to look out for as we go through some of the common terms and jargon TV manufacturers and retailers use. And Northern Ireland. In this new era of peace, how does the media cover it?
Most of us don't always read everything that's in front of us. Instead, we focus on the things that are of interest to us. For example, if you're not a fan of reality television, you probably won't take a whole lot of notice of newspaper headlines and magazine articles about these shows. Sometimes, when we're in a hurry, we skip straight to the information that we need and ignore everything else. Like when someone buys a newspaper for the sports results, they don't usually read the whole paper to get there. Instead, they'll flip to the back page, straight to the information they're after. Whatever your interests, if you like soccer but you find it hard to make sense of the tables of results, here are a few useful tips.
Whether it's the Premiership, the World Cup or our own Eircom League, we here in Ireland are soccer mad. Damien Richardson, manager of Cork City, tells us about his team.
Cork City are a full-time club with 16 full-time professionals. Cork City play in the Eircom League of Ireland. It's the highest professional league in the country. It is now on the verge of becoming completely full-time.
For sports fans looking for information, there's sports news in the newspapers every day, and many newspapers also have an extra big sports section on Mondays.
There's a huge media coverage of Eircom League of Ireland football now. I mean, there are a lot of games going live on television, there's radio coverage, there's great national interest in the newspapers as well. There are the individual websites that every club has. There's also the texting, which a lot of fans keep in touch with the club through that. And Cork City, for example, have regular meetings with supporters, clubs and groups.
If you're not looking for a particular piece of information in the sports pages, you can just skim through them, looking for a headline or photo that catches your eye. But sometimes you are looking for a particular piece of information, like your team's next fixture. So, a Bray Wanderers fan can scan through the fixtures looking for the name of his team, and he doesn't have to read every single word.
But it's essentially through the national media that the weekly information comes out about where games are, what time kick-off is, and who the teams actually who are playing.
In the fixtures, the team playing at home is always mentioned first. So in this case, Cork City are playing Bray Wanderers in the Carlisle grounds, the Bray team's home ground. The kick-off is at 7:45 p.m. So how does the future look for the Eircom League?
What we want ideally is 10 or 12 full-time teams in the league. We perform very well in Europe, for example. Over the last 2 or 3 seasons, Derry City, Shelbourne, Cork City have progressed to a very, very high level and high round in European football. But the big progression is ahead of us. We have got to get to the latter stages of the UEFA Cup and also for the Champions League. That's the real test for the Eircom League of Ireland football. When we make that breakthrough, then we become something of serious consequence.
Well, our guests today are Tom Ling from Trim, who returned to learning after he retired, and he's even had some poetry published since then. And we're also joined by Martin Doyle, who's a sports tutor in the Youth Reach programme in Newbridge, County Kildare. Welcome along to both of you.
Sure.
Martin, tell us a bit about the Youth Reach programme. You're a sports tutor on that. How does it work?
The Youth Training and Development Centre where I work in Newbridge, County Kildare, it's a centre for 40 kids, and the only thing they all have in common is that they've all left school early. The vast majority wouldn't even have a junior cert. Mm-hmm. And I just like to say that doesn't mean that they're all silly or stupid. They're
of course not. Yeah.
And you know, when we
but
have
might they think that? Is there a lack of confidence
yes.
when they come to you?
Of course there is, yeah. And that's the big thing is building up the confidence, building up the self-esteem, because no learning will take place until that's done, until the trust is built between tutor and trainee.
How do you teach, say, improved literacy skills through sport? How does that work?
Well, can I say from the outset that all the tutors in Newbridge have completed an ALA Integrated Literacy course, which is a real eye-opener. I mean, before I started working in Newbridge, I would have known nobody, for instance, that would have literacy problems. All my friends and family in Archinough can all read and write excellently. So what the NALA course does, it actually opens your eyes to those people and gives you the little coping skills to help deal with them. Now, I was finding it extraordinarily difficult because the minute you would mention maths, everybody would run away.
Yeah, and clam up.
So we had to come up with sort of guises to sort of practical maths, I call it.
Okay.
I mean, if
Something that interests them.
Yes.
For example, the soccer results.
Yes.
This is key to doing it.
this is key to doing it, yeah.
So do you think that it's almost like the mathematics are hidden in
Yes.
something they're interested
That's
in?
it. That's. I couldn't have said it better myself. Now.
And does
That's
that
it.
work then?
It does work. No doubt about it. It works 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, hurling, Tom, is your big sporting interest. Do you read much about sports in the newspapers?
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah.
But I get up to Kilkenny People every week.
Yeah. And what about, Martin, do you think that the average sports fan, supporter, finds the statistics in the newspaper difficult to follow?
If you're big into soccer, you like to hear that sort of things.
How many corner goals?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many
Number of
offsides?
Possession on the ball, percentage possession on the ball. You know, if that's your team, you want to
Okay.
hear those sort of stats.
Do you find that, many young soccer players, and maybe some of the young people now who come to your Youth Reach scheme, dream of being the next Damien Duff or the next Roy Keane?
Of course they do.
Do you think it's important for them to have a plan B to fall back on in case sport doesn't work for them?
Yeah, it's essential.
Is it? And do you tell them
Absolutely.
that?
I do, yeah. Well, you actually can't sign professional forms in England now until, while large enough, you spend some time training and coaching. The professional clubs in England now insist that you have some sort of a backup plan.
Right, okay.
That end of it has changed drastically. I have
And
to
you'd
say
be
now.
talking through these options as well.
Yeah.
Tom, most people find that there comes a time in their life, don't they, when things are going to change for them or they're going to take a new direction. What brought you back to education? Was it one thing in particular, or did you just decide, right, the time has
Well,
come?
actually, sure, I couldn't read.
And you decided
Or
to...
I was able to kind of read all right, but I wasn't very bad at spellings.
Yeah, which is a
Or
very
some-
common problem.
Yeah.
And so you
And-
decided to do something about it.
Oh, I'd say let's do something about it, yeah.
Do you find a lot of people get confidence from that first step, Martin?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. You know, you have to really start at the very, very basics. And, if I had one piece of advice to offer anybody, it's not rocket science.
And I suppose similarly, a lot of the people you'd be dealing with would have left school early. In Tom's case, it was after you retired that you decided to do something about it.
Yeah.
What difference has this made to your life?
Well, I did go back before I retired.
Yeah.
And, I was always able to write my name and address and stuff like that. And
So you got by for years?
yeah, I
with
got
that? Yeah.
by for years. And then, when I met my wife in America, and eventually I told her.
Yeah.
So she took me anyway, but
Mm.
I had to prove myself that I was that much better.
Mm. So you did it for yourself.
I did it for myself.
What was the first step like? Did it...
Unbelievable and shocking.
Yeah, difficult.
Embarrassing, you name it.
Mm. And then how did you feel once you had admitted it to yourself and to your wife and to your family?
Oh, brilliant, and then, when, as Martin said, it's not a record, it's not, when you get going, you're all right. It's that first step.
But you did it.
I did it.
Well, if you want to go back into learning, but the idea of going to a class doesn't appeal to you, there are other options, such as educational TV, for example. But have you noticed how many types of television sets there are now? Flat screen TVs you can hang on a wall, widescreen TVs that are great for watching sports and movies, high definition TVs for sharper images, the list goes on. If you're thinking of buying a new television in the next while, you might find this a really useful guide.
Is your TV on the blink? Or do you feel like splashing out and treating yourself to a new set? Well, in this day and age, it can be pretty overwhelming to go out and buy a television. With so much on offer and a lot of unfamiliar terms, you could be forgiven for putting off the task. But you needn't fear, as help is always at hand. Stephen Ryan is a television sales advisor, and he gives us the lowdown on abbreviations and technical words to be aware of when buying a television.
People buying television in the long term, our advice would be to go for HD or high definition TV, either an LCD or a plasma. So we'd recommend anybody who's buying a TV to make sure it's a digital compatible TV, which basically means it'll display high definition pictures.
So what is high definition television?
Basically, high definition television is a better picture than what you're used to. You have a choice of HD TV to go for as well. You've got either LCD or plasma. What LCD screen is a liquid crystal display. Basically, the benefits of it is that it's a smaller screen. It doesn't take up much room, which allows you to have a bigger TV in your sitting room. What a plasma is a type of gas, which basically gives you the same sort of benefits that you would get from LCD. Technically, it's a slightly higher picture quality than what you see on LCD. It's a more delicate type of technology, but for somebody who wants the best picture, plasma is definitely the way to go.
So what does widescreen TV mean?
Widescreen is basically, when you go to a cinema, the picture is not a square picture. So the picture is more rectangle than square. In old TVs, they used to always have a square, almost a square picture, which meant that if you were watching a film, you were missing out on a lot of the action on the left and the right hand sides of the picture. With the new widescreen TVs, you don't miss anything. So the film as it is recorded appears on the TV.
When buying a TV or any expensive item, it is a good idea to know what your budget is before going into the shop. As Stephen explains, there can be quite a difference in price.
Televisions can range in price from anything from around €350 up to about €6,000. For €350 you probably get a small TV, 15 or 17 inch in an LCD type. For €6,000 you would probably get a very large TV for a start. Most people who go for a TV that size will go for a plasma.
When you see a price tag now, you see two prices. One with PRF and one without. But what is PRF? PRF stands for the Producers Recycling Fund.
It's basically a fee that appears on every TV you buy or electrical item, which is part of a fund which allows for the safe disposal of old electrical items. If you buy a TV, the retailer would have to take away an old equivalent item that you have at home for free of charge.
Now that you are buying your new TV, it is important to be sure that you have enough space.
It's very important to measure your sitting room, because when you come into a shop to have a look at a TV, because the area usually is very, very big that you're in, it's very difficult to judge what size TV you should go for. It'll look very small compared to when you bring it home.
TV measurements are mostly given in inches. When you see these symbols, this means inches. A 17-inch television doesn't mean the television is 17 inches across, it means it is 17 inches from corner to corner. If you are unsure about measurements, bring in your own measuring tape and check for yourself that the television will fit. So, now with your questions answered and your television chosen, it is time to make your purchase. Most shops accept credit or debit cards as well as cash. Nowadays, instead of signing receipts, you often just have to type in your 4-digit personal identification number.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Cheers.
you. See you again.
Most shops also provide a delivery service, so once you have paid, it will seem like no time before you're admiring your new television in your own home.